afternoon and welcome back to Football League World TV. We've got another EFL Transfer Zone show for you on this very hot Friday afternoon. My name is Sam Rourke, the Chief Editor of Football League World.co.uk. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Billy Mulley and Chris Gallagher, to discuss all the latest EFL transfer news and gossip. Billy, how you getting on?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Just about coping with the heat. We said before that I got burnt yesterday, which is not a good start to 30 plus degrees or whatever it is today. But yeah, all well and good to see the transfer market starting to pick up pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, how you getting on?
Yeah, good, thanks. And as we said earlier, the pre-season's coming around quickly, isn't it? So expect a lot of deals to get done maybe in the next week or two. So exciting times.
Yeah, as Billy sort of mentioned there, we are fully in the midst of the summer transfer window. It is open for business. We've seen several done deals over the last week or so, plenty more set to be announced over the coming days. We're going to discuss some of the done deals and also some of the latest rumours floating around the English Football League. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, so get yourself in the comments and let us know your thoughts on some of the rumours we're going to be discussing in today's show. Right, let's get straight into it. Okay, let's start off with the future of Sander Berge at Sheffield United. As always does seem to be the case with Sander Berge, his future is up in the air right now. Leeds United are a club linked with a move for the Norwegian international in this summer transfer window. A £25 million valuation has seemingly been put on his head during this transfer window. Obviously, Leeds United, the future of Calvin Phillips is still up for debate. Lots of big clubs linked with a move for the English midfielder. Sander Berge is one man who is reportedly on Leeds' wish list. Billy, let's come to you then first. Let's look at this from a Blades perspective. Would you regard this as a big blow if he does indeed depart this summer?
Yeah, I think it has to be considered a massive blow, given what he's shown over the last sort of couple of years for the Blades. Last season, everything that he brings to the Championship. He's an athletic, powerful midfielder, but he's also technically very gifted, can split defenses, split midfields, but has also got that ability to see the game quicker than most. So he's somebody that, ticks a lot of boxes. And it's no real surprise to see Premier League interest. There was talk, I guess, at the start of last season, but that was a very, very high valuation. Now that he's, edging closer to his contract expiring, still I think it's 2 more years beyond this summer. Naturally, I think that will knock a little bit the price down, but I still think Sheffield United will stand firm with their valuation, whatever that may be. But yeah, he's definitely somebody that could fill that Calvin Phillips role, but he's also got the versatility, as he's shown late last season, to play slightly more advanced and be sort of a vocal point in terms of creativity. So he's definitely somebody that could fill that Phillips role, but at the same time, he offers a lot more in that midfield position.
Yeah, I mean, Berge is 24 years old, Chris. He started to really make a name for himself in the Championship. We've seen him play in the Premier League. He's no stranger to the top flight of English football. With regards to that £25 million valuation, Chris, do you think that's a fair estimation of his quality in terms of his price tag?
Yeah, I think it is fair. I think the reports at the time said Sheffield United paid 22 million. So obviously he's looking at a very small profit if he did leave for that amount, which probably isn't how Sheffield United maybe thought he was going to do better in the Premier League and then maybe secure a big move from there. But so it hasn't really gone to plan. But yeah, I think even for a Championship player, as Billy touched on there, he's got so much quality to his game. He can play different roles. He can beat players. He can find passes. So yeah, I think 25 million is a fair price. But it's a difficult market to sell. Really, they can only do what comes in, and there's not that many clubs who are in a position to spend 25 million on a central midfielder who didn't, I wouldn't say didn't cut, it's a bit harsh, but he didn't convince all the time in the Premier League. So yeah, they're in a tricky situation where they need to get their money back at least, but whether they do get an offer that they find suitable we're going to have to wait to see, really.
Yeah, as tends to be the case with Sander Berge rumours, it's something that I imagine will rumble on over the course of the next few weeks/months. Let us know in the comments what you think with regards to Sander Berge's future at Bramall Lane. Do you think he will depart this summer? Leeds United being one of the clubs linked with a move. Right, let's look at another rumour next. Okay, so next up is a rumour sourced from us here at Football League World. We understand there is considerable interest in MK Dons centre-back Harry Darling. The 22-year-old has enjoyed a fine campaign for Liam Manning's side as they narrowly missed out on a place in the Championship via the playoffs. Chelsea, Norwich and Brighton are three clubs we understand closely monitoring Harry Darling's progress at Stadium MK. Now, Billy, Harry Darling's a player I know you're a big fan of. You've seen him live in the press box at Stadium MK. Is he a player that could go all the way to the top flight from what you've seen of him so far in League One?
100%, yeah. As you say, I am a massive Harry Darling fan. I think in terms of what he brings, he ticks pretty much every box there is to tick. You know, he's a physical and athletic defender. Reads the game very well, but he can also progress very well with the ball as well. He's got great composure. He can split sort of midfield lines. He sees the game again quicker than the most. So he's definitely a player that should be on the radars of most clubs coming into this transfer window. Whether Premier League interest at the moment whether a Premier League move would be the best thing for him at the moment, I'm not too sure. I think playing more in the Championship and then progressing from there, that is probably sort of the ideal thing for his progression, rather than, you know, find himself on the fringes of a Premier League club. But, you know, when a club like Chelsea comes into a race like this, then it just speaks volumes about the amount of talent he does have, and stop people from listening to people like me. And I think it will just get, you know, other people realising how good he actually is when Chelsea send scouts to go and watch him. Also Brighton as well, you know, with their talent in central defensive positions. You know, I think it speaks absolute volumes about what he can do in his career. And as we say, he's still just 22 years old. Probably the best centre-back in League One last season. He's a very young player that's got such a big future in this game. And I think as MK Dons fans will be thinking, I don't think they'll have too much hope of keeping him, given the sheer interest already in him and the fact of the quality of interest as well. But he could sort of demand quite a high fee, and they could, you know, reinvest that quite well, as they tend to do.
Yeah, he strikes me as a player that's got all the sort of attributes needed for a modern day centre-back. He's very tall, physical, strong in the challenge, but also sort of combines that with that technique on the ball, his ability to drive forward through the middle of the park and create opportunities for the forward players. Chris, in terms of Harry Darling then, you know, he scored 7 goals from centre-back this season in League One. I mean, it's not just his defensive capabilities, it's also his ability aerially, you know, in an attacking sense as well, that must be a bit of a positive attribute that many of these clubs will be looking at, won't they?
Yeah, I think you've both covered it there. Really, he's a modern day centre back in that he can play on the front foot, but he also does have that old school qualities of being able to attack the ball when it's in there. He does go, like as you're saying, for set pieces. He goes up and means business to score goals, doesn't he? So yeah, I echo what you've said. Really, there's not much to dislike about him at all, and it isn't a surprise to see this Premier League interest in him. And it does feel inevitable that he will get a move, whether he picks Brighton and Chelsea, will probably loan him out, or goes to Norwich and sees that as his next step. They're the club's interested, obviously, but yeah, I think either way he'll probably be playing Championship football next season, but it won't be long till he is making his mark in the top flight.
Yeah, I'd imagine many MK Dons fans will want this summer transfer window to be over as soon as possible, because Harry Darling is not the only player being courted by several clubs higher up the pyramid. Of course, Scott Twine, which we're going to touch on later on in this show, is attracting interest, as is Tenai Watson. Plenty of admirers in them as well. Right, let us know in the comments what you think with regards to Harry Darling. Is he a player you could see playing higher up the footballing pyramid? We'd love to get your thoughts. Right, let's touch on Marcus Tavernier at Middlesbrough. He's a player we've touched upon many times on EFL Transfer Zone over the last few weeks. AFC Bournemouth have had a long interest in the midfielder, and it looks like they're finally going to get a deal over the line in this summer transfer window for Marcus Tavernier. He was a key component in Chris Wilder's Borough side this season. 5 goals and 5 assists for the midfielder for Borough this term. But Bournemouth look like they're going to sign up the player ahead of their Premier League campaign. Billy, is Tavernier someone that could flourish in the top flight with a side like Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think to the first question, he's definitely somebody that could cut it at Premier League level. In terms of Bournemouth as well, I think that's one of the more favourable destinations within the Premier League, because I think he would see fairly regular game time if he was to move to the Vitality Stadium. Of course, Middlesbrough will be ambitious this year. They'll really want to keep hold of him. £10 million would be good in terms of their recruitment, but at the same time, I think he's a vital component, somebody that offers versatility, but somebody that also offers, a real creative threat from central positions. And I know that 5 goals and 5 assists, not the best possible return, but at the same time, you've got to consider the sort of overall influence he does have on games. He's not, you can't really place blame on him for 5 goals and 5 assists in terms of his expected goals and his expected assists. Those were quite high as well. So he does create quality chances. He's somebody that, commits defenders, sort of a trait that many say has been sort of going out the game in more recent years, but he's somebody that can commit defenders and create in the final third. Somebody that really sort of suit Scott Parker's style of play, which I think is sort of key with transfers and whether they work out, is the kind of style of football that their manager will play. And I guess heading into the Premier League, I don't expect Bournemouth to be as expansive as they were in the Championship, but when you've got creative outlets, somebody like Marcus Tavernier, it really does help you out in terms of trying to play that attacking style of football that brought Bournemouth so much success last season.
Yeah, he's, of course, only 23 years old as well, so plenty of time to develop and mature as a professional footballer. Chris, do you think it's that element of versatility with Marcus Tavernier that stands out? Because he is a player that has played in various roles this season and over the past few seasons. Do you think having someone like Marcus Tavernier in your squad who can be deployed in various positions is always a benefit?
Yeah, definitely do for the manager anyway, because especially like next year with 5 subs, if you've got someone who can play in all these different roles, which he could do a wing back if needed, obviously central midfield and different type of midfield roles, and maybe even further forward as well. So yeah, from a manager's perspective, it must be a dream really to have a player like that. But I kind of sometimes think it maybe holds him back up. I'd probably prefer him to stay with Middlesbrough for another year and really nail down probably in a attacking midfield position where he can maybe get these like double digits for goals and assists, because I think he is capable of it, and then make the next step. I'd be a bit worried if he did go to Bournemouth, he might fall into the trap of becoming a squad player where he does fill in all these positions. And obviously it's not a bad move, is it, going to the Premier League, and he will get minutes. But I think maybe for his career, if he took the risk of sticking with Middlesbrough, he could establish himself as one of the top midfielders in the Championship. And then if Borough didn't go up, he'd maybe get a move in that position moving forward and really nail it down.
Okay, let us know in the comments what you make of Marcus Tavernier's future. AFC Bournemouth reportedly closing in on a deal for the 23-year-old imminently by all accounts. Let us know what you think about his future. Right, let's look at some more rumours next. Another player we've spoken about considerably on Football League World TV over the last few months is MK Don star Scott Twine. He, of course, enjoyed a phenomenal season in League One for MK Dons last term. Won the League One Player of the Year awards at 20 goals and 13 assists. It really was a standout campaign for Twine, and naturally he's attracting interest from higher up the football pyramid. An array of clubs have been linked with Scott Twine over the last few weeks, but a more concrete interest in the last few days has emerged from Hull City. They have reportedly launched a £3 million bid for the MK Dons attacker in this window. Billy, this somewhat surprised me when I saw this, just given some of the clubs that have been linked with Scott Twine over the last couple of weeks. Hull City sort of came out of nowhere with me. We know the ambitious plans and hopes that the new owner, Akinil Kali, has. But this could be a real coup, couldn't it, if they do manage to get this one over the line?
Yeah, as you say, it's a real ambitious move from Hull, but I think that's the story of their transfer window so far. They are being ambitious, but at the same time, Aiken Ilikali said pretty much immediately after he'd taken over that he's not just going to sign star-studded name, he's going to recruit intelligently, and I think that's a real big boost. Of course, they do now have a budget that's more sizable than most in the Championship, but they're actually looking to use the EFL pyramid and not just signing big names, which I think is could be massive for them. I think Hull can be really ambitious about what is in store next season. Twine, I think, spoken a lot about him recently, about 33 goal contributions, but he's still a very selfless player, somebody that links the play very well, and somebody that's not afraid to make the run so that his teammate can get in space. Off the ball, he's absolutely incredible. On the ball, he's even better. So again, another player that is destined to move on from MK Dons, I imagine. £3 million bid, that it's a good start, but whether that's going to be enough to win him, it remains to be seen. But yeah, as we say, Scott Twine is somebody that the majority of Championship clubs would love to have at their club this summer. Probably stretch that to a couple of Premier League clubs, given the incredibly high ceiling he possesses. I think Championship will be the next destination. It will be the next best move in terms of his progression. But at the same time, we generally could see a Premier League club coming in and loaning him back out to the Championship. He's a lot of options, I think, and looking at Hull already, some of the players they've been linked with, if they can get Twine over the line, if they can get Jean-Michael Seri, there's so many links at the moment that if they are able to strengthen their squad with the players that have been linked, then they're going to be some force to stop next season.
Absolutely. Scott Twine, Chris, is he someone you feel could kind of fit into that Hull City side? I mean, a lot spoken about Keane Lewis Potter and his future at the MKM Stadium. Lots of Prem clubs interested in KLP this summer. Would he be a good potential replacement for someone like Lewis Potter, Scott Twine, Chris?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, they'll obviously want to keep them both, keep Lewis Potter. But yeah, I think if he does have to go, and ultimately the money will talk there, and the Premier League, they won't want to deny him that next step, which he may feels ready. But yeah, if they do lose Lewis Potter, then I think Twine's as good a replacement out there, really. So yeah, I think this would be, even though it's obviously a League One signing, I think this would be a real statement of intent, because I agree with Billy when he says that every club in the Championship would love to have Twine. So yeah, if Hull can pull this off, even if it might not be the most eye-catching sign in terms of the pedigree of which the player has, I think this will be one of the signings of the summer. So yeah, I'd be really excited about this one if I was a Hull fan, and I think there'll be fingers crossed that they can get it over the line, although I do expect they'll have to go in with quite a bit more than 3 million.
Yeah, having spoken to him at the EFL Awards, he strikes me as a very humble character, very eager to learn and improve and develop his game. A manager's dream, I think Scott Twine is. Right, let us know in the comments what you think about Hull City's £3 million bid for Scott Twine. Can you see it happening? Is that too little of a fee? Just finally, it is worth noting that it is a £3 million bid subject to potential add-ons, so that the actual fee will probably rise considerably higher than that £3 million. But definitely a situation to keep tabs on. Hull City's interest in Scott Twine. Right, let's look at some more EFL transfer rumours next. All right, let's touch on a few done deals now briefly. Cardiff City certainly aren't hanging around in this summer transfer window. It's now 8 done deals for Steve Morrison's side. This week, confirmed the additions of Marlon Romeo from Millwall and Ryan Alsop following his departure from Derby County. Billy, let's start off with Marlon Romeo. He's a player Steve Morrison knows well, having been together, both of them at Millwall. Still only 26 years old. We've seen him play in the second tier, a fair amount of time. He was on loan at Pompey fairly recently, but this seems like a move that could sort of revitalise Marlon Romeo's career in the Championship. Do you not feel?
Yeah, 100%. As you say, at Millwall, impressed in glimpses. I was surprised that he was allowed to leave on loan to League One level. given what he had shown and sort of the promise that he has shown. Very, very surprised that a third tier move was allowed. I thought there would be a more second tier interest, even if it was on loan. But it happened, and he really did impress in terms of what he brings to that sort of right back, right wing back role. He's somebody that will drive his defenders, progressive runs, progressive passes, dribbles per 90, all sort of ranking very, very high within League One last year. But he's also somebody that can sort of split defences and has the end product to really cause problems, whilst he also has really good defensive capabilities. So he's somebody that sort of meets the criteria for everything that Steve Morison wants to do. If they operate with 5 at the back, he's very well suited to the right wing back role, but he's also, more than competent in a right back role, which is seen over the years. So I think that's a really, really strong addition. Cardiff have made some really intelligent and clever signings already this summer. They're not just signing players for the sake of it. I know it's 8 signings, and that they might grow a bit of a reputation that they're turning the squad round, but I think it was necessary. I think they've got to a point where they needed to make these signings, and the signings are not just any old names. They are all really, really good additions that could play a real good part next season. You look at that sort of right wing back position now. They've also added Vontae Daly-Campbell, which will, a more youthful option that will provide a real competition for places. And that sort of wing back area, I think, is going to be vital for Cardiff next season. As it is across the Championship, wing backs are becoming more common and vitally important within systems that managers deploy. So I think Romeo and now Daly-Campbell as well as options in that wing back role, I think that's going to be a really good bit of business and something that can help progress Cardiff from this, mid-tablish side to having aspirations of challenging higher up in the division next year.
Yeah, I suppose you only have to look at Cody Drama's impact for Cardiff City on loan from Leeds last term. He was really, really impressive for the South Wales outfit in particular last term. Just finally then on Marlon Romeo, I suppose he's probably been, we've seen Danny McNamara really emerge in that right back role for Millwall last season. He's sort of almost been affected by that Marlon Romeo. He hasn't had the first team opportunities he perhaps had before. So you'd imagine that has played a role in his departure from the club. Chris, let's just briefly touch on Ryan Alsop then, a pretty experienced keeper. Whether he'll go in as Cardiff City's number 1 remains to be seen. But on a free transfer, it seems like a pretty good option to have in the squad, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think with Smithy's leaving, they obviously wanted to bring in another goal. I know they brought in Alnwick as well from St Mirren, but yeah, it looks, like you said, it just looks a sensible bit of business. He did really well for Derby last season. Perhaps surprised a few with how he did perform, because he wasn't the most exciting signing when he went there, but he did step up in important moments for them. I know they obviously went down, but none of the players, most of the players enhanced their reputation with Derby, and I think he's one of them. So yeah, from Cardiff's perspective, you get a reliable Championship keeper on a free. So yeah, there's not much to complain about there at all.
Absolutely. Right, we've got 2 more Football League World transfer exclusives coming up for you next. Right, so both of these came from you, Billy, these Football League World exclusives. First and foremost, Huddersfield Town are weighing up a move for Blackpool midfielder Keshi Anderson. He enjoyed a pretty fruitful campaign for the Tangerines last season, 4 goals and 5 assists for what was a then Neil Critchley side. Billy, do you want to explain a little bit more about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this whole show so far has been really enjoyable, talking about players that I do really, really like. And Keshi Anderson, again, meets that criteria. He's a really, really exciting player, somebody that I wish Luton would have gone for, given, his Luton connections from before, born in the Luton area. So a player that definitely has more to give in the Championship, a player, that has given a lot for Blackpool over the last few years. Just thinking of Anderson in the context of Huddersfield as well. He's a player that they've been monitoring since January. Nothing concrete so far, just a mere interest and a mere sort of tracking of his progress with Blackpool. Whether the situation changes now that Appleton has been appointed, whether he sees Anderson as a big part and would like to speak to him early doors and then sort of reinstate and sort of tell him his plans for next season and try and get him on board remains to be seen. But from a Huddersfield perspective, it does look very, very favourable. Obviously, Blackpool are not one of the biggest payers in terms of wages. He's coming to his contract now expires in 2023, so available for sort of a cut price fee. 27 years old, so he's still got a few more years to play at the top of his game, and offers that sort of versatility that would be looked on very, very favourably by Carlos Corberán, somebody that started the season more as a winger, both on the left and right, causing problems by the sort of direct nature, but then started to play in sort of a central midfield role as the season progressed. And, his range of passing and ability to break lines really, really stood out. And somebody that, looked like a central midfielder for so many years, he put in those kind of performance that would have suggested that he could be operating there more often. And again, Huddersfield, no, they're not the biggest payers either in the Championship. So it's a move that would make sense. But I don't think they're going to be alone in their interest. I think there's definitely going to be more interest, especially now that Huddersfield have sort of is surfaced that Huddersfield are interested. I think that could create sort of a knock-on effect on other clubs trying to assess their options, especially given, he could be available for quite a cheap fee.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Huddersfield keen on Keshi Anderson at Blackpool. Like you say, Billy, a very versatile player, has operated in central midfield on a handful of occasions for Blackpool. Also out on the right-hand side and through the middle, so he can play in various attacking roles. Right, we've got one more Football League One exclusive next. Billy, as we understand it out Football League World, Charlton and MK Dons are early frontrunners for Aston Villa's Louis Barry. Billy, just want to explain a little bit more about the situation here then?
Yes, so Louis Barry enjoyed a really, really good season with Swindon. Last time out was second half of the season. Predominantly operated on the left wing, but we've seen him before coming through sort of the Aston Villa Academy, playing as a central striker, somebody that's got bundles of energy, real dynamic option as well, confident in front of goal, and then enjoyed a productive spell with the Robins. Now, naturally, it does seem that League One will be the next port of call for Louis Barry in his development at Aston Villa. And the early front runners are MK Dons and Charlton. I guess both make sense as well. Charlton, a chance for Barry to go back to being under Ben Garner's stewardship at Charlton. Obviously, we don't know this yet, but a 4-3-3 system is likely to be implemented at Charlton. Whether Garner changes that, given the options he has, and a change of philosophy might be needed at the club. But Barry is somebody that he can trust, someone he knows is ready for League One football, someone that displayed he was ready for League One football. So definitely Charlton will be a side that are showing interest at the moment, and a team that would really, really suit his development and suit given the Ben Garner link as well. But then MK Dons as well, they have had a lot of success with their loanees. They're a club, that Liam Manning, he's shown that he can do a very, very good job with players within the higher divisions. They've done it with Peter Kioso. They've done it with Kane Kessler-Hayden last season. And that sort of Aston Villa connection, the fact that Kessler-Hayden had such a good season could be impactful of what happens with MK Dons' interest in Barry. So at the moment, it's MK Dons and Charlton that are leading a whole host of League One clubs that are interested in these services.
Yeah, I suppose it's worth noting that Barry did play in League One last season for Ipswich, albeit only made a handful of appearances in what was a bit of a tumultuous time, really, at Ipswich Town. An influx of new players, a new manager. He didn't really seem to get much of a look in under Paul Cook at the time. Chris, I'll just get your opinion on this one. Charlton perhaps are in need of some more creativity. Louis Barry could offer that. We've seen Connor Washington depart. Jaden Stockley's future at the Valley remains up in the air. As for MK Dons, we've just spoken about Scott Twine. His future looks likely to be away from Stadium MK. Do you think he'd be a good addition for either of these sides?
Yeah, I do. I think you can make a strong case for both sides needing him, and Billy's touched on there how Villa will see both clubs as a great potential destinations with the the Ghana link and the style of play. And it's obviously a similar story at MK Dons, where he said how the young players have had successful loans. So yeah, I think this it should be an exciting year ahead for Barry. There was obviously a lot of hype around him. He moved to Barcelona from West Brom. He then went to Villa. I think scored against Liverpool in the Cup. So he's kind of been someone that people have had an eye on for quite a while. As you said, the Ipswich loan probably came too soon, and it wasn't the right club with all the changes that went on there in that summer. But I think now the Swindon move was good, and I think now he'll be really ready to kick on. And I think whoever does get him in League One will be getting someone who can hit double figures for goals at least, and become a pretty important player in the division.
Right, well, that brings today's EFL Transfer Zone show to an end here at Football League World TV. Thanks to everyone that tuned in to watch the show. Thanks for all your comments that came in throughout the show. Billy, Chris, thanks for joining me on this afternoon's programme. We've got plenty more coming up for you on Football League World TV next week. We're going to be getting lots of fans involved, lots of influencers involved. If you'd like to come on to Football League World TV and chat about your club, please do get in touch with us on Twitter. Our handle is Football League W. Drop us a message and we'd love to get you involved. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to us on YouTube and like this video if you're watching on repeat. But from myself, Billy and Chris, we shall see you soon.